In this video, I'm going to show you how to turn a starter into a complete full sounding sample. Quite often when I'm making samples to send out to other producers, I'll use starters as initial ideas to create the samples, because coming up with an initial idea is probably where I'm weakest at. Where I'm strongest at is developing the idea and processing it and making it sound more full. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. The sample I'm using here is from 4 Nights. He's one of my favorite people to work with, and he's sent a guitar starter here that sounds like this. So immediately after hearing that, I think it's a little bit too low. So what I'm going to do is pitch it up maybe 3 semitones and speed it up a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do is pull it into a mixer channel. Now this is the first proper technique that I'm going to use in this video, which is using bus channels. Now a bus channel, if you don't know, is essentially a mixer channel that has audio coming in from another audio channel. So in this case, instead of the audio going straight from the 4 Nights starter into the master channel, I'm going to remove it from the master channel and put it into 2 other separate channels. So now we've got audio in here. And we've also got audio in here. Now why you might want to do that is to start processing it and adding certain layers where you wouldn't have before if you could only apply it to 1 channel. So one thing I do like to do quite often is make it mono, include only the lows, and we can create our own separate bass channel. I'm going to boost this, make it a bit louder. I'm going to bring in highs by pitching it up an octave and then reducing the dry wet mix to about 30%. To bring out the highs even more, I'm going to distort it a bit. I'll do that either using Decapitator or I'll do it using Thermal. But also just using Fruity Wave Shaper would work the same way. Maybe this Psych Drive preset, maybe reducing the dry wet a bit. And then I'm going to use a compressor. I quite often like to use free compressor. Set the threshold a bit low, bring the ratio up to about 5, and then bring the gain up to bring it back to a reasonable dynamic level. I think I want to distort it a little bit more, so I'm going to add a Decapitator on top. Now with this channel, I think what I want to do is remove the lows, just so it doesn't clash with the bass. And then I think what I want to do is move this into 2 new bus channels, so then we can create 2 new effects with the sound. So let's go with this one first. I think I want this to be the main one. I want to add some chorus to make it a bit more full sounding. So I'm just going to add my favorite chorus preset, make it a little bit narrower. Great, I'm loving how this is sounding. So with the bass as well, it sounds like this. Now with this other guitar layer, I want to pitch it up an octave and filter out some of those highs, because when you do pitch it up an octave, it starts to get a little bit grating on your ears. I love adding a flanger to high layers. My favorite flangers to use at the moment is just Fruity flangers. And then I want to mess around with this by adding in a granular element. So I'm just going to pull this in before the EQ, just so we get the processing of the EQ and the flangers, and then scroll through some presets. I really like using 5's Noxious Bank. It's got lots of granular sounds tailored for the type of music that we make. So I'm just going to scroll through the sounds and see how different ones sound. I like that one already. I think I might bring in a harmonizer as well. I like using the 1984 guitar preset. It adds a nice kind of washy chorus effect. I'm gonna pan this one slightly to the right, the other one slightly to the left. Now, if you compare that just to the original, you know, there's a big difference. Now, often when I'm making samples, I like to add subtle Perc Loops. So I'm adding one here, which I made recently. I'm just going to filter out a little bit. Simple things, really. Making it a bit wider. Yeah, and just take some more highs out. I think also what I want to do is just make a copy of this, make it unique, and then I think I want to reverse it just to add a different layer to it, see how the 2 interact. So I've just processed it a little bit. I've added a loop operator just to give some variation. I've added a lossy to basically mess with the sound a little bit. And then I've taken some of the lows and the highs out. I really like how this is sounding so far. I think what I want to do is add a few textures and accents. I like to do this from certain one-shot kits that give you a kind of weird lo-fi feeling. One of my favorites in that kind of genre of pack is Aperture by 5 and XY that they dropped on the Loophole site. So I'm just going to scroll through some of these sounds and see which ones fit. Okay, great. So I've added those textures. I also want to add just a straight kind of background noise texture. Just like that. So now with everything included, so if we compare all of that now to how the original sounded, you can see the difference. This now feels ready to send to other producers to turn into full beats. If you found this useful, like and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see in the next video in the comments.